Now, scattered across Japan are huge statues of the Buddhist goddess Kannon. Today, most have fallen into disrepair, sparking growing concerns among local communities. NHK Rules Matsuba Tsubasa reports.
For example, tall buildings are required to use lights so aircraft can fly safely at night. This statue has not been lit up for a long time.
We just received the former president's mugshot. We want to show that to you here. John, do we think the former president will weaponize this image to help him with fundraising? You mentioned this earlier, but to what point? And will it work in gaining support for his 2024 campaign?
When I saw the image just a couple moments ago, it reminded me of Donald Trump's book cover that he released in 2000.
The threat is the most powerful weapon known to man. It alone has maintained peace and prosperity on this great planet. But I don't use the threat. I don't touch it all the time. Everywhere I go, they ask me, "Donald, why don't you threaten them?" That's the only way they'll listen. And I tell them the truth. I don't use the threat because I respect the threat. The less I use it, the more powerful it becomes. The threat alone ended World War II forever. It's true. Ask the Japanese.
Someone is singled out, you get 30 seconds to respond, and when the time runs out, we all will hear this. Very pleasant.
So tonight these candidates have a big opportunity to break out of the pack and to explain why they are best prepared to be the Republican choice for president.
Now, I have to go back to work on my State of the Union speech. And I worked on it till pretty late last night. But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
Another issue. This weekend, reports say there were 30 shootings, and a number of them including kids. Add that to the big increase in school shootings around the country. Democrats blame this crisis on easy access to guns. They also blame Republicans for blocking gun control legislation. What would President Christie do?
Well, it is an extraordinarily good question with not a lot of great answers. So first off, I'm not going to stand up here and tell you, oh, just elect me and I'll solve that problem for you, because we've had too much of that in this country.
Well, the criminals are going to get those. I think what you've got to look at are those with mental health issues, and that's a focal point. We want to keep them out of the hands of those that can do this kind of harm.
I mean, not only does the media too often ignore, but they also won't tell the whole story about firearms in America. I mean, think about it. They focus on the tragedies and the heartbreak.
I'm not going to let you accuse me of committing criminal activity. I am not going to take that. I am not going to take that. So you want to have a civil conversation, that's one thing. Try to say that
we are the pioneers who came to this country to be free, to be the explorers, to roam the American terrain without any government telling them what they could or couldn't do. And the reason we're able to do it is because of the existence of that Second Amendment. Now, I'll tell you, you hear from the other side that, well, we have school shootings in this country. We have mass shootings. I'll tell you, we have a mental health epidemic across America. You better take away, you want to sell all the drugs on the street.
We are South Carolinians who love our guns, who love to hunt, who love to use it as a sport, and we appreciate it. And any company that decides to manufacture here, we're going to welcome them.
is Mr. Squirrel. He's my ESA. Oh. It was a weird day because it had started off pretty well. I had an exam and I thought that I did really well on it despite not really thinking that I would. And I just remember going out to the parking lot before I headed home. I saw people that I knew, but I was by myself that day. And then I got a text, and the text just was off. There was just something off about it, even though it was exactly the same kind of text I'd received before, but to receive it at that time of day saying, hey, we should talk. And then I get home, and I'm just greeted with a terrible, gloomy silence. Because I walk in and I'm like, yeah, my day went pretty well. And then hearing, oh, you don't know. You know, it's hard to proceed from that, knowing that whatever you don't know is definitely worse than not knowing.
I'm Leonard Moreland, and I've watched the animated diagram. So we had sat down and the projector started and we were watching it. Animated diagram first consisted of, it looked like two giant shapes almost interacting with each other. Then the next frame was an oval slowly expanding. And as it started expanding, there's another oval coming out of it. Very weird. And then it started cutting back to the two other shapes interacting with each other. There was another shape that followed behind, a gray circle. It was very off-putting, but immediately after that gray circle came out, I heard a loud bang behind me. I was confused, so I looked behind me, and the conference room, somebody had slammed their head against the desk. And as I could see from just the position I was in, the only one who could, I can just see directly into his eyes. It was hard to explain, but there was no life behind those eyes. There was no soul, existence, or anything behind it. And it was just, God, horrifying, to say the least. And as that had happened, they had started calling in doctors and nurses into the room. But before you knew it, another person from the other side of the room started saying they felt sick, they felt, woozy. And then before you know it, someone else on the other side said the same thing. They're about to pass out. It started affecting almost everyone around me. And, more doctors and nurses had to get called in. And I just remember they had these clear packages with the doctors and nurses. I didn't know what was in them, but it was clear so I could see through them. But it was something they were giving them to help them come back. What affected everyone else hadn't affected me, but I knew there was something wrong with it. Whatever we were shown in that diagram was not meant for us to consume. I, walked out of the conference room and just kind of didn't know where else to go from there. It almost kind of seemed funny when you look back on it, but as of today, I'm still not affected by the diagram. I've noticed no change whatsoever.
See over the microphones. We all in? Thank you. Thank you for being here. As you may notice, my voice is a little hoarse after working through the night. As you all know, last night, locals, counties, state, and federal law enforcement officers from around the state of Maine responded to reports of an active shooter.
get a lot of crisis over 37 years. It's just life, right? Nowadays, it's my routine to book a flight to America whenever I'm paralyzed with anxiety. I always tell myself, soon I'll get so sick of these trips that I'll condition myself out of any more crises. But the truth is, I can't stop going to the States. The other day I went for a walk in Florida and I had a massive revelation. I was the right age and my parents' military service backed my citizenship. I thought to myself, a lot of history's happened since I was born, but since he's all grown up now, what if little Rob had a say? What if little Rob had a say?
On the first day of work, I realised the reality of all things. No one's here to help you. Nobody wants to make your life easier. Hate and anger thrive in Washington. Gossip is widespread. And everything should be taken personally. There's a mouth whispering your name behind every corner. If heaven is a room filled with silence and devoid of people, I quickly realised that I must maintain the Oval Office like this. It's the only place where I can be left alone. But the memories of this room stain every surface. Cigar ash, Coca-Cola cans. This is the dirtiest room in the White House because every president has asked for silence. This means there's no maintenance, no janitors. The waste that's made is left behind. But maybe there's hope. Maybe there's still respect left in the world. I checked the underside of the Resolute desk. There's dried gum underneath.
The media says that celebrities should stay at home. They say we should kick back and relax while the world burns. They say we must leave the world to the Democrats. Then the Democrats scream when a celebrity has had enough. I say we've had enough. I support any celebrity who decides to run. We understand the world more than the sick sheep who currently run the country. I say every celebrity should run. They're fine people, and we would vote for only the best, like me. There are probably people better than me. We just have to look for them. Survival of the fittest. Personally, I think Rob Pattinson would be great. mugshot? Everyone remembers the mugshot. But I haven't told you the story of the movie. You'll love this. While I was in Fulton County Jail, I was treated like everyone else at first. But then the guard said, "Donald, it's going to be a long time before we can take your photo. At least a few hours. We got a lot of other prisoners ahead of you. You gotta wait, just like the rest of them." And I'm an okay guy, so I said, "Not a problem. What can I do to pass the time?" And you know what she said? She said, "Mr. President, I got a movie for you." I don't think the other prisoners watched movies because they took me to an empty room with one projector. Dust everywhere. Nobody else was in there. I didn't ask questions. I just sat in one of their chairs and the movie started. It wasn't Hollywood. Maybe A24, I don't know. All I know is that it was the most horrendous, awful, disgusting propaganda I'd ever seen. I don't even want to call it science fiction, but it was. Terrible science fiction. Horrible cast. Rob Pattinson was in it. I can't even remember the title. It was American Dream or some no-good nonsense like that. Movie was so bad my head started to hurt. I literally got dizzy. Whole room was spinning. I called in the guard and she let me skip the rest. A few minutes later I got my picture taken. I'd rather get another mugshot than watch that movie again. Later, I was told that the movie was an art project by one of the guard's kids, and the department wanted to show me. I was frank with the guard. I told her, "You got one messed up kid, lady. Totally sick in the head. Probably should see a doctor." She laughed. Nobody took me seriously there. Today, everyone tells me that this movie doesn't exist. But I saw it. I saw it loud and clear in Fulton County Jail.
ever had a moment when you realized that the rest of your life was ruined? I hope you haven't, but if you have, I understand. I was born on Christmas Day, 1983. I always wished I was born 3 years earlier. I like perfect numbers, like 80. 1983 is not a perfect number. Only one thing of interest occurred on my birthday. Joan Miró, the Spanish artist, died at the age of 90. 90 years old, can you imagine? 90 years of happiness would have been paradise. But not for Joan. Joan was a very sad man. He painted to stay alive. He often drew ladders to express his desire to escape. But I have a bad family history with ladders. When I was 3, I threw my mother's jewelry into the chandelier above. I wanted to see what she would do. She yelled at me and called my father over. "Don't worry," he told us. "I'll get the ladder." As she brought the ladder into the room, Mother stood frowning in the corner with her arms crossed. When Father got to the top step, he reached for the jewelry in the chandelier. Then the ladder began to tip. He held on to the chandelier. The ladder fell to the floor. My mother ran to help him. The chandelier fell and crushed them both. I hid in the corner of the living room. I couldn't dare to turn around. I couldn't see what else had exploded behind me. I just couldn't. I can't touch jewelry anymore, and I don't care to wear it.
My name is Richard Tiller, and I was the director of the Walt Disney Home for Children. When Virginia came to us, she was still in a state of immense shock. Notably, she refused to be assigned to the girls' quarters. Among the others, Virginia quickly became the subject of pranks and gossip. We didn't know if it was the way she dressed, or the way she walked, or spoke, or slept. All we knew was that her presence deeply affected the others. Their discomfort was irrational, of course. Irrational and irreparable. Eventually we decided it was best for her to have a separate room, away from the others. That's when she started collecting the wood. We didn't know for weeks, of course, but Virginia often snuck into the woods behind the orphanage at recess. We thought all the children stayed away from the trees, but there were piles of wood in her room. In the last weeks of her stay, Virginia began a construction project. small houses in the corners of the orphanage. When her parents passed, she was found by her neighbors, hiding in the corner of the living room. I thought these corner homes were related. She'd sit and read in them all the time. We had no idea how she could fit inside those things. None of the other children could get in. I don't really know how to tell you what I saw when I was inside. It was kind of like a maze. In total, she built 18 of these homes before she disappeared. Since then, Virginia's become a bit of an urban legend around here. I don't believe those little homes did anything, but she was last spotted reading in the 18th home. We never did find that one. Only the last 17.
I understand.
Hi, my name is Leonard Moreland. I have a story to tell. At one point, I was walking into my bathroom, and as I set my belongings down, I turned the corner, and I noticed this thing on the wall. It was right above the light switch. It had a shadow that was bigger than the wall. It had multiple legs all stuck onto the wall, and they were bendy. It looked like an out-of-place Halloween decoration. And as I stood there and noticed it, it just didn't move. I was frozen in fear. I didn't know what to do. I held onto my belongings and just stared. What felt like an eternity. I grabbed my belongings and ran out. And as I sat in my living room, breathing, hyperventilating, about to faint, every limb in my body started slowly. I couldn't feel my feet, couldn't feel my legs, couldn't feel my hands, couldn't feel my arms. And as I just sit down, I just feel like parts of my body slowly wither away as I just witnessed this thing on my wall, this creature. And then within the next day I checked, it was gone. I have no idea where it went, and I fear that one day I will see it again.
seen the destruction, and it's terrible. We all see the same horrible things on the streets. Fire, bodies, babies, innocent wives and children. You know what? Let's just take a look around together. Let's just go from there to there and look at all the damage Rob Pat's given us. He literally nuked all of this beautiful land. Why would you do that? I'd ask him myself, but believe me, if they let me close to him, I wouldn't be asking things. I'd take him down like the rest of us would. Just look around. Keep looking around. He did this. Dictator Rob Pattinson burned America to the ground. The Great Seed operation has scorched the earth, and all we can do is suffer. I get it. Oh, believe me, I get it. I'm here suffering. I am so sad to announce that this, in fact, will be my last message to the American people. The truth is, there are too many anarchists, communists, and terrorists, more than at any other point in human history. We are all targets. This whole country is one big target. Even after the first strike, we must continue praying to the one and only God of creation. There are people who will never understand and will always see us as, believe it or not, moving targets. Believe it or not, but it's true. So true I have to go away to stay alive. I can't tell you where, I can't tell you when, but this is my last one. I can assure you that. It is too dangerous to stay alive in public. We are all moving targets. A bomb could kill us all in an instant. Boom! Right here, right now. I wish I could have a say. I wish I could be in that great office and keep Rob's hand away from the button. He could click it again any day now, any moment, any second, really. I wish I could do something. I really do. But I have to go now. Take care of your families, watch your neighbors, and be the best American you can be. Our country is dead. It needs all of you to find peace. I am rooting for all of you. I, as your leader, believe in you. I do, it's true. Goodbye now. The floor shakes, the ceiling is cracking, and everybody is afraid. I'm not as afraid as most, but I see a lot of fear in this room. I see a lot of fear in the world. But we will not let the fear win. We must keep our country safe. We must lay it to rest. I'm with all of you, and we will not back down. We must protect our families and this blessed country, this beautiful land, while we put them to rest. I'm here with you, and I see the fear. But we will not surrender. We will not surrender. Destroy the fear. Win. 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 This is for whoever on this great dead planet will find my body. I know it won't be someone close. Not anyone I've banged or helped seed. All I ask is that you keep on walking. If you have a lighter or gasoline, please be generous. Destroy whatever is left. Destroy the rest of me. Burn this and whatever that remains. Please and thank you. I am a nobody, a grateful nobody. May you live on, survivor.
All the other Cothnauts in the program are liberals. They're a good group. Don't get me wrong. We've had plenty of good times. But they think they're pure, and that anyone who disagrees with them are, well, immoral. Well, let me tell you, there's a difference between good and pure. I think all of the Cothnauts are good people. There's no question about that. But it is a mistake to believe that any of us are pure. Humans aren't pure. God is pure. Just because you complain doesn't mean the whole world is going to change. People are set on their tracks from birth, and God set the tracks. The others need a humbling reminder. I can tell they're drunk on intellectual circle jerks. I thought Donald Trump would be that reminder. The whole system could have been broken down and rebuilt. But the government found loopholes. And now Trump is dead. I dreaded the news. It was only a matter of time. But I didn't dread his death. I dreaded the assignment. When Donald Trump died in that bunker on Alcatraz, the other Cothnauts made a promise to leave him there. So when the boss told us to retrieve his remains and secure the island, I knew who the assignment was really for. We all knew it was a one-man mission. For me. After all, I was the only one who attended his final rally.
The president has been mutilated. Seems at his own request. There are other bodies here.
been destroyed. The exterior of the bunker is damaged. It appears someone was here before me. They may have taken the records. They may have assisted in what's happened to this country. This is our president. He was my president.
host of all space-related live feeds. I deliver updates straight from the control room. We've received many emails with questions regarding today's event, so I'll be answering those throughout the broadcast. For those just tuning in, you're watching live footage of a black hole. This one's named Cronus, after the Greek god of time. The orange speck of light in the middle of your screen is the superheated material surrounding Cronus, also known as the accretion disk. The actual black hole is featureless to the naked eye, as it pulls in all light that's crossed its event horizon. In fact, the light from the accretion disk is over 18 years old, meaning that these images on your screen have already happened. It's just taken the light almost 2 decades to reach your cameras. By the time this broadcast has reached you, the actual cameras have likely stopped recording, since the astronauts are over 25 light years from home. Black holes are created when nuclear reactions within massive stars stop, and the pressure drops drastically, resulting in the star collapsing on itself and acquiring a gravitational pull so strong that not even light can escape. No, it simply does not have enough mass to collapse. As our sun ages, it will grow into a red giant. Its outer layers will slowly shed off into space, forming a nebula. At the very end, our sun will be a cold, white dwarf star. Yes, over time, black holes release radiation, which to a certain point will render the entire structure unstable, as they will eventually be expelling more material than they are gaining. However, because black holes by nature absorb many objects with their gravitational pull, this input prolongs their lives by many, many years. Let's take a look.
Serpent became bored. Something would be more interesting than nothing, she said. So Serpent decided that she would create a universe. Without letting Tree know, Serpent slowly shed her skin and left her branch. First, she laid world eggs. Eggs so big that one could spend their entire life on them. Then she laid God eggs. Eggs with beings to help organize the universe. Then she laid all the plant and animal eggs. Eggs which would make more trees and more serpents. Many God, plant, and animal eggs fell on the world egg known as Earth. It was a cruel and wild place, so cruel and wild that the most powerful deity was the goddess of chaos. Her name was Entropis. However, Entropis was fair. She gave the ability to dethrone her to 4 other gods. They were Simultan, goddess of success, Orderat, goddess of time, Centimek, god of emotion, and Mordeleth, god of death. As the goddess of chaos, Entropis understood that chaos was such an uncontrollable force that she could fall victim to it at any time. And one day, she did. Without any warning, a strange bolt of lightning beheaded her in Giza.
Cryptozoologists love wildfires. The flames burn away the lush tree canopies to reveal the secret animals beneath. But once in a while, the fire reveals something inanimate. The cryptozoologist will call the park ranger, and the park ranger will call the police. When the police arrive, they cling to their Geiger counters and gas masks. Why? For decades, the government withheld information. Witnesses were chained and theorists were hushed. But I come from a world of terror. I know how to find dangerous information. I present to you the facts. I present to you the truth about the Trinity Desk.
was a natural nuclear reactor. This 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 was a natural nuclear reactor.
The stakes are too high for you to stay home. The stakes are too high for you to stay home. The stakes are too high for you to stay home. The stakes are too high for you to stay home. The stakes are too high for you to stay home. The stakes are too high for you to stay home. The stakes are too high for you to stay home. The stakes are too high for you to stay home. The stakes are too high for you to stay home. The stakes are too
didn't dream. We dreaded every day, and our history was nightmarish. But when I came to this country, I woke up. Your home has a history of hope. Despite every disaster, the people still dream. The election of '68 perfectly captures this pattern. It's the reason why I've nicknamed your country. I am thankful to live in this Steamverse. But there is still so much to learn. Both old and new catastrophes feel less real to me. I must connect with your history. I must ask its unanswerable questions. Why did the government finally declassify footage of the horned serpent's inflamed lung? What aerial phenomena are they continuing to hide at Devil's Tower? Was that the same phenomena recorded on the White House grounds? What is America's true self? And one more question. Where is the Leonard Moreland I knew?
Taranto was frozen in time. I could have spent my entire life there, but it would be like I was never born. To stay in Taranto would be to stay asleep. Asleep from the rest of the world. I stepped onto the Cleveland on December 10th. It stayed on port all day. It was like a tease or a test. A test for my American dreams. Right before midnight, the Cleveland sailed. I did not go to bed that night. I wanted to see Italy disappear completely. For I want to escape completely. The Cleveland arrived in New York 2 days before Christmas. Inside the ship, there was so much life, warmth. It insulated our optimism. On deck, there was nothing of the sort. It was cold. It was rainy. It was quiet. In rain, the Statue of Liberty was almost invisible. This was America's welcome. America's cold breath. Imagine an immigrant in New York. No friends, no family, no English. But I wanted a taste of everyone else's action. I ran to a store and bought myself a gift. A snow globe of Lady Liberty. She was underwater, like a fish. The Statue of Liberty should not be visited on Christmas. I went because I wanted to feel American. There is a reason why it is closed. On Christmas Day, they let liberty breathe.
tried to get him down again. It's a silly story, but what a lovely place to put Mussolini and Hitler after the war. They could stay up there forever, telling each other whose fault it was.
Wonders of the West, and all America for that matter, is Devil's Tower National Monument. Rising like a great stone fortress from the plains that surround it, it looms up on the horizon to a height of 1,280 feet. It was America's first national monument. Now behind this immense stump-like rock formation lies a fascinating...
And one more question. Where is the Leonard Moreland I knew?
Hi NASA, I'm very excited to RSVP for the front row. This is the chair that I'll be bringing. I picked this chair because I take it on camping trips every year with my dad when we go on road trips around the U.S. I'm so excited to be joining you. And just for further proof, I'm close too. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
On a sunny morning in June, a woman took her dog for a walk. They went to the grassy field behind their neighborhood. On this day, the husky would not stop barking at the woods nearby. The woman followed as the dog pulled the leash forward, snout close to the ground. The dog settled to stay put on one side of the meadow and began to excitedly dig away at the dirt. As she tried to stop her pet from tearing out more grass, she noticed a video camera in the pit the dog had dug. The camera was clearly buried by someone. She couldn't imagine why. The video camera was intact and in good condition, with the exception of a few scratches. She activated the camera and viewed the 3 clips in its memory. They featured multiple takes of a girl in a NASA shirt, proudly displaying a red folding chair. In the background of each clip, the the woman could see distortions in the air, like heat waves running along the tree line. After watching the videos, the woman heard a whimper. She told police that the two invisible men in the footage were responsible.
myself, sat in seats near the blast, a trinity, flash, heat, and sand. Our skin blistered under the light of a three-person god. A trinity. Later, we stood.
It's been years since I've seen the corner folk. Entering their world has left my brain wide open. Every night, I dream of messages from other worlds. Some are intricately technical, others more abstract. Each of them more frightening and disorienting than any real dream I've had. These are not dreams of the mind. They are stray transmissions, orphaned signals, things that slide silently through the substance of reality. Nobody else receives them. Nobody except me. To me, they're very loud. I wrestle with new histories and their new leaders like glass tumbleweed. I cannot bear to be a receiver any longer. The corner folk have left my brain open as a sick form of punishment. Despite my ruined body, I must make one more trip to the corner world.
I must make them afraid of me.
I need them all with fear and storm the world at any time. I do not care if it ruins my mind or spills my insides. Their children will see me in the sky and scream. I will rip and scar their little colorful culture for thousands of generations to come. I am Riley Tillman, and I will breathe enemy air tonight.
Welcome to my gallery, Mr. Tillman. You built this place? This place is an abandoned nursery. Built by the corner. They are just as civilized as you and I. They too can build. Who are you? I am your host for tonight. An art gallery? Why? I've been fixated on demons and monsters lately. I think these are their best depictions. Collecting world art doesn't change the timeline too badly. This space preserves the art excellently. Soon, I hope to collect even larger artworks. Statues? Monuments, Mr. Tillman. Monuments. Well, I've arrived for the corner folk because I arrived angry for no damn reason. That's not true. I've been... You are wrong, Mr. Tillman. Respect the folk, or I'll have you evicted. Are you a god? There is only one god. Alcatraz. The island. You will never, ever understand. You could have sent me home already. Mr. Tillman, I've been alone here for ages. I've learned things in my isolation, and I have no one to share my thoughts with. I'm here. Mr. Tillman. I'm right. Humanity loves to divide itself. Heroes and fools, demons and monsters, good and evil. But the truth is, we are not our divisions. We cannot afford to divide ourselves any longer. We are made of other things. What are we made of? We are made of each other, Riley. I'll stay, Mr. Stay. A is the name. I'll stay. invisible is to become hidden from creator. To become invisible is to become left out of laws of nature. To become invisible is to become superior. For an invisible man can rule the world.
Oh.